Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, as you know, and this is I Want to Be a Better Coach. And I created this series, this is number 43, um, to support and empower you to look at what could make you a more effective coach. What is it that's maybe where you could expand your comfort zone? Where is it you're kind of afraid or resistant to go? Where are you feeling a calling or a nudging to open up or expand your sense of self when sitting with a client and you might be hesitant or resistant? I want to talk about all of those things, and I've been talking about those for the last, oh boy, 43, 42 sessions that we've done these. So, just wanted to give you some background. I don't think I've ever really talked about this, but I think it's really important. I talk about things not just from your basic 3D reality. And that's because a lot of my education and experience comes from um, transpersonal or spiritual or more expanded perspective on reality. So when I first started this whole process of becoming somebody, becoming something, I'll say as a career, I started as a marriage and family therapist. And the training that I was doing was in Kitchener, Ontario, where there was a program called Interfaith Pastoral Counseling Center. Interfaith Pastoral Counseling Center. Don't think it exists anymore. This was in the 80s. So that program was an integration of pastoral counseling, which is where priests and ministers and other people of the cloth, as you would say, or chaplains, would get training in how to be more effective as counselors in marriage and family orientations and grief and all of the things that pastors and chaplains talk about. And so I was part of the that internship, which was an internship for marriage and family therapists in Canada, and at the same time they were working with a chaplain. So there was um, this beautiful connection between the spiritual, if you will, and the transpersonal and marriage and family therapy. So that was my first sort of integration or my first few steps into this process of learning how to be a therapist slash whatever I'm becoming. And so I did get my master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and I worked in addictions in Nova Scotia for 8 years, 8 years. And in as a marriage and family therapist working in recovery, well, when you're trained to be a therapist, generally speaking, you're not trained in the field of spirituality. There's rarely an introduction to that. I had a little bit of it at Interfaith, but generally speaking, in training, we're not trained to consider that part of our reality. And so being exposed to people with addictions and who were recovering and who were using the 12-step program, which is a spiritually based program, a faith-based program, I learned that there was a real value in experiencing and working in that spiritual orientation. So I decided I needed to do something else. And so I ended up going from Nova Scotia. I went sailing for a couple of years, crossed the Atlantic Ocean, had a transformational experience, which also influenced all of this, being a transformational experience. But I went to a school called the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology, which is now Sophia University. It's in Palo Alto, California. And I got my PhD in transpersonal psychology. Now, transpersonal psychology is, in a sense, if we think of clinical psychology as being the 3D and the normal and the way that we operate to be normal, basically, um, that's what most psychology and social work and counseling programs focus on. In transpersonal, we're seeing the individual as in the physical, but also the emotional, the spiritual, the mental, the creative, and the community person. So there's this huger, more expanded self. And when we have experiences outside of the physical sad, bad, mad, normal life, sometimes we get a little bit like, I don't know what's going on. But at the same time, there's places that we really embrace that. Like when we fall in love, that's an energy. That's a thing that happens. If you say a thing that happens, but we feel something that's beyond our physical normal. We act differently. Um, and the elements of near death experiences or dream states or imagination or creativity, all of these elements and areas, and so much more, psychic abilities, intuition, telepathy, all of that quantum field material, quantum physics, is all this transpersonal orientation. So I got my I got my PhD in that, and I focused on creative expression and I focused on spiritual guidance because that's what I was really focused on to understand and to get a sense of, is what is that spiritual guidance quality? What is it we're doing as spiritual guides? How do we sit with people who are exploring and expanding spiritual issues? Through that process, I came to this place where everything human is spiritual. In a sense, we say, we're here as spiritual beings having a human experience. But even goes more than that. If we consider cosmetology, as in the cosmos and studying the cosmos, studying quantum fields and quantum physics, the quantum fields, the quantum elements of ourselves that is connected to the oneness and the source of all that is. So I started out in this PhD in transpersonal psychology, but had no idea what I was going to do with it. I studied to be and focused and interned in as a spiritual guide, but I still didn't know what that meant. And then I found coaching. And the fellow Hans Phillips, who was in Santa Cruz. Now I think he's down in Santa Barbara. Hans Phillips, you can find him online. He was the guy that introduced me to the quality of coaching that went beyond what I consider cognitive behavioral work. And I just fell in love with the whole sense of who we are in this moment going forward in our life. A lot of therapies and a lot of techniques and things like that focus on the past and how to fix the past and how to heal the past, that kind of stuff. Well, in coaching, we're going from here today forward. We say, what is it you want? What's the trajectory? What is it? What's the quality that you want? What's the experience you want? We're going to go forward here. And in that process of going forward, we meet our expectations and we meet our fears. We meet here's what happened in the past and I don't want it to happen again. All of those things that we are meeting, even just in our minds, to say these things are scary, or I don't know how to be me in these places. So for me, I'm working and training and coaching and teaching other coaches how to be present in this space where we are spiritual, we are source, we are oneness. And I don't speak, I'm working with business and executives and all kinds of people, and I'm not necessarily using that language, but I'm using a language that supports something greater than, in a sense. Whenever we need to make a change or we want to make a change, it's like, I'm here and I want to go forward. We have to make a change. We have to do something different. We have to move through, and that's a process. It's not just a leap. There's a process that we unfold, and I talk about this in the series Inward Bound, Inward Bound Boot Camp for Self-Transformation, and that's a video series here on this channel. So Inward Bound Boot Camp for Self-Transformation takes us through the process of being and becoming who we are. And we don't take all of this into consideration to the degree that I think we need to as coaches, and hence doing this. So I've been training people to be coaches for over 20 years, and growing this capacity to be present to the direct experience that an individual needs to have in order to go forward in their life. It's like, and we forget, generally speaking, that we've had the direct experience we need to go forward. We just forget that. And so asking those questions, when have you had the experience of having what you want or getting what you want? People will tell you. But generally, it's not what we focus on as coaches. We generally focus on the linear, logical, rational perspective, and we don't connect to the heart. We don't connect to the energies. We don't connect to a lot of things that this particular series, I Want to Be a Better Coach, connects to. So I thought maybe it would help to have that kind of perspective, like what is my background and how come it looks the way it does. So a degree in marriage and family therapy, a master's degree in transpersonal psychology, which I had to get the PhD in transpersonal psychology. And I did my dissertation on transformation, sailing as a transformational experience, because I had gone through a transformational experience while sailing, and I was training people for a while as a sailing instructor on the San Francisco Bay, and I watched people have transformational experiences. And it's like, why is that so important? And what's valuable about that? And what happens when people have those experiences? And all at this time, to going through all that, I had no idea I would become a transformational coach, or that I would have a business called the Paradigm Shifts Coaching Group and focus on transformational coaching. Never knew it until it happened. So I hope that gives you a foundation for what I'm doing here, and perhaps the bandwidth that I bring to this, that level of quantum field, which is phenomenal, and the magic and the wonder of synchronicities and all of those kinds of things that happen when we're in a session with a client, and being able to recognize that and be available to those moments, and to bring our clients into the direct experience. I was on that track. That's really important. Any and every thing, evidence that I've ever read says you need to have the direct experience in order to move forward. In a sense, you can't go, oh, I'm going to make $100 million and I'm just going to have it happen. You got to walk the walk. You have to go move into that and move through the vibrations that are limiting. What's limiting? Oh, it's a scary feeling. What is that? What's that feeling? I don't want to touch it. I don't want to go there. It's too scary. But we have to, in order to not have it be a roadblock, not have it be something that gets in our way. And over again, with my clients, we meet those roadblocks. We meet those places where there's limiting beliefs, limiting perspectives, limiting abilities, while at the same time drawing on the experience that clients have had where they have moved through those limiting perspectives, maybe others at other times that were less threatening, less scary. So I just wanted to share all that with you. Just thought it might give you a sense of foundation. Like I said, I've been training people for over 20 years, and I'm still training people. I've got a group that meets every other week that we meet. They're all coaches, and we talk about what's showing up in their work and what needs to shift for them if they want to. But we have some wonderful, extraordinary conversations. And I also train people on a one-to-one basis, so that people who've had worked with people, but they don't want to go through a whole training program. They just want to up their game as a coach and grow their proficiency. I work with a lot of people who do that too, so it's a lot of fun. So that's that piece. The second piece I want to talk about is just that being a coach these days, working with people in this context of life being challenging and what's happening in the world, it really requires, from my perspective, an ability to tap into and be comfortable with those places that are so scary and uncertain. And it's like anything that we think about doing, perhaps, so I want to be this, or I want to go to school, or I want to, but the next piece of that is the yes, but the economy is uncertain, or the politics are uncertain, or there's so much uncertainty. Then how can I take why should I? How can I? Should I make these changes? And as a coach, we need to have. It's not the courage, but that's part of it. We need to have the knowing that it's really important at these times to support and empower people to move through the place where they were afraid and move into what the potentiality of who they are, to meet that fear indirectly not indirectly, but directly, so that they can know themselves and witness their becoming into this something that they're really wanting to be. And it's really important as in the expression of who they are for themselves, but also for those who are waiting for them. So if we as coaches can support and empower people to move through the scariness, not by going, yes, let's just take the leap and go, but really be in the process of what is that? What's the experience that you're experiencing? The quality. I was listening to Deepak Chopra, who's talked about this whole new science of addressing the quality of being. It's like I've been talking about that for years, and that's fine. And I'm glad to have the validation of Deepak Chopra going, yeah, that's essential that we know what those qualities are so that we can actually engage directly with them, engage directly with our human experience, these qualities of being. And yes, that's a vibration and a frequency that we want to be present to. So I think that's all for today. That's a lot. So if you have any comments, please leave them below. And I'm always asking, hey, give me a thumbs up if you find value in this at all. And if you say, no, I don't want to give you a thumbs up, then give me a thumbs down. I mean, just be willing to be proactive for yourself, and or choose to go, yeah, no, not doing it. Those are all ways that you can watch yourself and observe yourself be at choice. And a lot of people go, no, I don't give anybody. I got this from one comment. I don't give anybody thumbs up. It's like, okay, so what's that about for you? As opposed to, this is free information. And if you have any appreciation for any of us on YouTube or any place else, if you have any appreciation for us, then why not share appreciation by saying, hey, here's a thumbs up. So not just for me, but for anybody. It's basically 1 to 6%, I guess, of people who actually give thumbs up out of 100%. I mean, like, what's that about for us as human beings? That's my little rant. What's that about for us that we're not willing to say, hey, thank you, with just a little thumbs up? So for me or somebody else, whatever, leave a comment below if you've got something to say about that. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. All right, blessings. Bye for now.